إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونشكره نستعين به جل وعلا نستهديه ونستغفره نعوذ به جل وعلا من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له إن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده صدق وعده ونصر عبده وأعز جنده وهزم الأحزاب وحده لا شيء قبله ولا شيء بعده مخلصين له الدين ولو كره الكافرون. وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا وعظيمنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وعلى آله وسلم أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وعبد الله ربه حتى أتاه اليقين. صل اللهم عليه وعلى آله في كل آن وحين وارض اللهم عن أزواجه وأصحابه وذرياته وأحبابه والتابعين وعنا معهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. عباد الله، أنصحكم ونفسي الآثمة بتقوى الله، أحثكم وإياها على طاعته، أحذركم وإياها وبال مخالفته جل وعلا ومعصيته، وأستفتح بالذي هو خير. أما بعد، يقول مولانا عز وجل في المحكم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أهل الكتاب قد جاءكم رسولنا يبين لكم كثيرا مما كنتم تخفون من الكتاب ويعفو عن كثير. قد جاءكم من الله نور وكتاب مبين يهدي الله به من يتبع رضوانه سبل السلام ويخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور بإذنه ويهديهم إلى صراط مستقيم. الآيات في سورة المائدة. The ayahs speak about the nations before us طبعا. يعني القرآن الكريم looks at the entire humanity from the beginning till the end as all the creation of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, number one. Number two, this is your reference value. Yani, in a medical sense, it's your lab values. And sometimes people go to labs so they can actually get a value. Where do I stand? Are these values normal, or I need to go and get a check? And Al-Quran Al-Kareem keeps history of the nations before us as our lab values. As if, don't think what happened to nations before you, you somehow are immune to. But there's a natural progress, there's a human sort of progress that everyone goes through, and you are part of that. Your salvation surely is if you are holding on to the book of Allah and to the sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So in this here, the ayahs are talking about the Nasara. Allah Ta'ala says, which means amongst them those who قالوا إن نصارى أخذنا ميثاقهم, we took the mithaq from the Nasara. Meaning, what is the mithaq? The pledge from them. Allah is telling us the meaning of the ayah. Yani the pledge to follow Isa alayhi salatu wassalam. The message of Sayyidina Isa, Jesus alayhi salatu wassalam, and to abide by it and to live by it. Yani the way of Islam is the way of Adam alayhi salatu wassalam, the way of Noah alayhi salatu wassalam, the way of Abraham alayhi salatu wassalam, the way of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam, Moses, the way of Isa, Jesus alayhi salatu wassalam, the way of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله. We don't distinguish between the messages, as the Quran tells us. All of them are messengers of Allah. They're all commissioned to guide the creation to their creator, so that the creation does not keep looking or waste their time looking and missing. Life, as if the Quran is telling us, life is not long enough. So to make things easy, Allah Ta'ala showed you the way to Him through many things, amongst them His messengers alayhimus salam. طيب, قالوا إن نصارى أخذنا ميثاقهم, we took the pledge from them. The pledge, يعني أنت when you say, our pledge, when you say أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله, that's a pledge. You're renewing that pledge every single day by saying أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. And notice how the Sunnah, the Quran tells us about أشهد, and the Sunnah specifically in a much more detailed way in that sense. Versus, for example, a lot of people say La ilaha illallah, and there's a difference between Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah and between I say there is no God but Allah, or I believe there is no God but Allah. Ashhad is much more intense and much more profound, because bearing witness, Ashhad means I testify. You testify to things that you witness. So you testify. So it's not just an action of the tongue or a state of the mind or a state of the heart. It's collectively all of you, every single morning or every time that you hear the mu'adhan is saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, and you repeat it after him, that you put in your heart, that you bear witness that there is no God but Allah Rabbul Alameen. Not just a word that you just say and utter and move on. And then when you say وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا, يعني Muhammad bin Abdullah bin Abdul Muttalib bin Hashim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rasulullah, that I testify that Rasulullah Muhammad is the messenger of Allah that takes my hands to Allah Ta'ala, to the pleasure of Allah. This thing is continued every single day through the adhan, through the salah, through your adhkar, and it's meant not just to renew your pledge to Allah and renew your pledge to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam daily so many times, but it's also meant to rekindle that light of iman inside of you, that you're reconnecting with your Lord, you're reconnecting with your messenger alayhi salam, that you're reconnecting with him, telling him, Ya Rasulullah, you are the Rasul of Allah, you are the one I follow. Since he sent you and you are his messenger, your footsteps are the ones that I follow, and I bear witness that you are indeed his messenger. Ashhadu annaka Rasulullah. And the similar thing with Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Otherwise, if people just say it lip service, like other things that we say and we don't mean them, or we mean them but we don't bring the presence of the reality of them. And the point is that Ashhad, not aqul. That's why we're paying attention to that. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, not just aqul or I say la ilaha illallah. That's why in your salah you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I bear witness. Well, you better bear witness with all of you. And that's the whole point, that's the reconnection, that's the pledge. Anyway, في الآية here في سورة المائدة, Allah Ta'ala took the pledge from the Nasara. The pledge to follow their prophet. The way of Allah and the way of His Rasul. His Rasul alayhi salam was Isa. Jesus alayhi salatu was salam. Follow His way. Allah says, فَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ. فَنَسُوا حَظًّا. Nasu means they forgot. They forgot some of that which they were reminded with. Yani as if the pledge entails something. The pledge that they made entails something that they actually, Allah tells us about the Nasara here in the Quran, that they forgot some of that part of that pledge to Allah Ta'ala. Allah says, فَأَغْرَيْنَا بَيْنَهُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ وَسَوْفَ يُنَبِّئُهُمُ اللَّهُ بِمَا يَصْنَعُونَ. And Allah Ta'ala will tell them. So what means, Allah Ta'ala tells us, which means that as a result of they forgot some of that which Allah Ta'ala, or which was entailed in their pledge, animosity and hateful competition, baghdha, bughd, animosity and hateful competition settled between them until the day of judgment. And Allah will tell them what they do. Ya Ahl al-Kitab. Then Al-Quran comes. But Al-Quran is not just talking about the Nasara in that sense. No, it's talking about everybody. But like it's an example, reference value, and you take it and you see how it applies to all nations. Then Allah says in the next ayah, Ya Ahl al-Kitab, قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولُنَا يُبَيِّنْ لَكُمْ. We sent you a prophet, or to you has come a prophet, a messenger from us, showing you, يُبَيِّن, he is explaining to you, كثيرا مما كنتم تخفون من الكتاب. A lot of things that you were either concealing or not understanding, not hiding, all these things from the book. ويعفو عن كثير. And he came also to forgive a lot. To forgive a lot. To correct your understanding of the book. That you have your book, He will correct that understanding of the book, and He will forgive a lot. وَيَعْفُو عَنْ كَثِيرٍ. قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ مِنَ اللَّهِ. Then the ayah emphasizes further. قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ. You have received from Allah نُورٌ وَكِتَابٌ مُبِينٌ. Illumination and a clear book. So we leave no ambiguity, meaning as if the Quran is leaving no ambiguity. يهدي به الله من اتبع رضوانه سبل السلام. Then Allah finishes the ayahs here, at least this paragraph of the ayahs, by saying, which means Allah guides those who follow that path, that nur, that kitab mubin, the path of the anbiya. Allah then allows them to go in the dunya subul as-salam, the ways of peace. They walk on earth on the ways of the path of peace. Subul is a plural of sabil, a pathway. Salam, the peace, inner, outer, inwardly, outwardly, everything. Subul as-salam. And then Allah says what? وَيُخْرِجُهُمْ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ. And He takes them from different kinds of darknesses. Different kinds, different levels, different veils. He takes them from all these veils إِلَى النُّورِ, to the illumination, بِإِذْنِهِ, with His permission and decree, وَيَهْدِيهِمْ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. And then He guides them from all the dhulumat, all kinds of dhulumat, to one straight path, صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. طبعا, the general meaning of the ayah was talking about the Nasara. لكن Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you know, Al-Quran, العبرة بعموم اللفظ لا بخصوص السبب, as the rule goes, that the lesson learned is by the generality of the wording, not the specificity of the reasons of revelation. And therefore you see from this as a reference value for humanity. Yani for all people, regardless, people, communities of faith. That faith that Allah Ta'ala sent you, which actually provides for you ways of inner and outer peace, inwardly and outwardly, of tranquility, living easy. If you stay away from it, you're going to end up with two things: animosity and hateful competition. Not just fierce, but with hate. And that's what happens. That's what happens with people when that pledge to Allah Ta'ala is not there anymore, is no longer present, that ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah is not present in its realized or in its actualized form, it's just present in its word, in its utterance form, then people obviously they forget the pledge and what the pledge entails. And that's why they fall into this. The dunya reason for that is because you see, when you forget the pledge of Allah, when a Muslim or any person of faith, regardless, if they forget the pledge that they pledge to the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala and to the messenger of the Creator, now no more is the akhirah, there's only the dunya. So the akhirah is gone, the dunya is there. The pledge is gone or forgotten. And therefore the focus is now the dunya rather than the akhirah. But the dunya is limited. Time is limited, resources is limited, things are limited, and guess what happens then? People fight and kill each other over these limited things. And that's the whole reason Al-Karim shows us. This is what happened to nations before you, and this will happen to you as well if you do the same. No exception. It happens to any community in any society. And you see today the world, the mayhem that the world is going under today or through today is due to a lot of that, a lot of leaving these core principles. You say there's some people who don't want to believe. Because today we are in the postmodern era, not just the modern era anymore, or even postmodern era, actually. Because the postmodern was from the mid of the Gregorian century up until the late end of the past Gregorian. And obviously, as you know, I mean, from the collapse of the Ottoman Empire and all these things, and you know, when world societies or thinkers of world societies, they sort of present a new thought for the century, new blueprint for the world. A lot of people, especially on the Muslim side, in the old days and until today, they think that doesn't concern us. When in fact it affects everything, especially nowadays in the post or after the postmodern era, because the world has become a small village. But even in the old days, people thought that doesn't affect them. But when it did, in fact, and there's lots of things, maybe some other time we'll talk about that's the postmodern, which supposedly ended now because now the world is preparing for the phase after that postmodern. What will happen? And as you all know, I mean, among the things in the postmodern era was this focus on, among many things, obviously, the focus on rejecting grand ideas, skepticism, irony, mocking these, what people held, for example, as grand ideas or, ideologies that nations and societies went through. It also is characterized by the shifting of the focus from institutions and communities to individualism. Europe's personal worldview is what matters. The concept of ummah is disintegrated, not just with us, with everybody. And now we're obviously, since the end of this postmodern that ended now in the past Gregorian century, the world is preparing for a new era. And many people of us are sleeping because we haven't really woken up to the postmodern, to wake up to the after postmodern, to participate with the rest of the world, to shape our ummah, or to shape our communities, to put maybe some narrative, or to challenge some, or to talk about some. But these things are done and then they're consumed. And that's how it goes. And what you see today with the world and how things are going, that's just part of that settlement of what will happen at the beginning of this Gregorian century till the end of it. Remember in the 20th century, same thing happened. I mean, at the beginning there was all these wars, etc., and people eventually settle on something. The First World War, the Second World War, other things. And today we're no different. And I think if we if Muslims, we keep, wherever we are, whether we're in a Muslim majority or a Muslim minority community, I think it's important to look at these things and see where we fit and where we are. But anyway, Al-Quran Al-Karim shows us that nations are connected, interconnected, communities are interconnected. Because he's telling us these things, obviously in the Quran, telling us about the Nasara, but telling us about what happens if you lose some of these things, that the pledge to Allah. Lots of people, they make this too difficult. They say the story of Iman is too difficult. I have to pray, or I have to do zakah, or I have to do hajj, or I have to be good to people. It's not really difficult at all. It's not really difficult at all. You're here, you're living. So long you're living, Allah Ta'ala asks you to do good and to abstain from evil. Now, amongst the things that you do good, obviously, things that you would need, issues of ibadah, issues of being good to other people, there's ramification. The Quran tells you that if you do bad to other people or bad to yourself, there's ramification for that. For your own benefit, don't do bad. Don't say bad things to other people. Don't even think bad about other people. For your own good. For your own. If you want to have a happy life while you're living now and a happy life in the hereafter, Al-Quran Kareem is giving these things that are sort of solutions. We go with the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and he's showing you these things and telling you, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. If you like, look at the reference values, the lab values of other nations before you. What happened to others will happen to you if you follow the same track. Simple. Verses Al-Quran Al-Kareem tells you here, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, إِن تَجْتَنِبُوا كَبَائِرَ مَا تُنْهَوْنَ عَنْهُ يُكَفِّرْ عَنْكُمْ سَيِّئَاتِكُمْ. Beautiful ayah, and the Quran summarizes everything, which means, Allah Ta'ala tells us, which means, if you avoid, you all believers, if you avoid the grave sins that we forbade you from, grave sins, we will forgive your small ones. Avoid the grave ones, just very simple things. Avoid grave sins, and Allah Ta'ala forgives your small ones. Then, live your life happy. You don't have to live under that pressure. And the whole point is that understanding where we're coming from and where we're going to, and why, and try to have a life that is continuous with the next life. That's going to be everlasting, and this one is temporary, but we carry from this one to the other without making this difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. The mu'min doesn't have to frown, doesn't have to be upset and sad all the time. The mu'min lives the life happy with Allah Rabbul Alameen. And doing good. Sure, we will do wrong, because we're all sinful, we're all weak, we all have weaknesses. But Al-Quran Kareem leads us to the point that if you avoid the grave ones, you'll be forgiven. Alhamdulillah. Rabbun Rahim, you have, what else do you have to worry about? A faith with no original sin, you have no burden. You're free. You are pure, innocent, absolute innocence. A forgiving Lord, and promises of everything good. And you're not asked to do things beyond your capacity. You're not asked to do things, nobody is telling you it's fard for you to stand up the whole night and worship. Would be nice if you do it every now and then. Would be nice if you want to do it on your own as an option. But nobody says it's an obligation upon you. Do your fard. Do the minimum required. Be good. Live your life and go on. Bismillah, you're good. But if we forget some of the things that Allah Ta'ala, that pledge that He gave us, then we will start what? We no longer now see the akhirah, all we see is the dunya, and since the dunya is limited places, limited things, we're going to all fight over it so much that we're willing to kill each other over it. It's limited, that's all we see, we don't see beyond. Imam al-Tahawi in his Mushkil, في مشكل الآثار وothers يعني ابن الأثير في أصل الغابة وothers mentioned الحديث on Ibn Abdullah bin Lahiya. Let's say the hadith is Hasan inshallah ta'ala in this. He says the Prophet ﷺ met Uqba al-Juhani, one of the Sahaba in Medina. He tells him, this man has heard about the Prophet ﷺ. His heart, he wants to believe in the Prophet ﷺ. He waits for the opportunity. He meets the Prophet ﷺ. He says, Ya Rasulullah, ubayyu'uka. I want to give you bay'ah, Ya Rasul. I want to pledge to you. The Prophet ﷺ tells him, bay'ah a'rabiyya and bay'atu hijrah. What kind of bay'ah are you going to give me? A bay'ah of the Bedouins, of the people of the desert? Yani, I see you now and I never see you again. I'm with you now. Or bay'atu hijrah. Or you give me bay'ah of hijrah. That means you actually migrate to me. wherever I am. Yani as if Islam is saying, this passive admiration of your faith is not good enough. That we sit and talk how great these principles of Islam are and how great this thing is in Islam, and all this passive admiration of articles of faith, that's not good enough. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells him, which bay'ah you want to give me? What kind of bay'ah? I am with you, yani. Not that Sayyidina Uqba was like that, yani, or so. Like, yani, you know how it is. And today, a lot of time, Islam is, any faith system, not just Islam. Sometimes it's a social utility, sometimes it's other things, sometimes it's just a convenience, sometimes it's a faith by house, not by choice. And that's why Al-Quran Al-Kareem mentions, or that's why the Sunnah Sharifah tells you about Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because it's not just a matter of house, it's a matter of choice. And it's a matter of you reconnecting and repledging every time to Allah and repledging every time to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. No, he tells him, bay'atu hijrah ya Rasulullah. He says, no, I want, which means what? It's not just words of admiration. I like your dawah, very nice, I'm with you. So let's see if I get any position, any money, any, you know, something, some benefit out of it. You know how Allah says, مَا يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. They worship Allah on an edge, one letter. If those things don't go their way, they say, these Muslims are evil, man. They didn't help me. These people are bad, man. They're the reason I'm not becoming faithful, and the reason others are not becoming faithful. Huh? Really, they don't realize they don't know Allah. Verses Allah and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, بِحَسْبِ امْرِئٍ مِّنَ الشَّرِّ يحقر أخاه المؤمن. Hadith Sahih. It is enough sign that you're filled with evil if you belittle other faithful person. What happened to finding 70 excuses, and if none of them apply, you blame your own understanding? What happened to all these things? But we're in a world like that. We're shifting again very quickly from, like I said, from an ummah view, from a sunnah view to an individual view. Everyone makes their own faith. And with us, with Islam, the only faith we have, if it's faith, it is La ilaha illallah. Only Muhammad is Rasulullah, and he's the final Rasul of Allah as well. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Inna asdaq al-hadith kitabullah wa khayr al-hadi hadi Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Be careful. وَشَرَّ الْأُمُورِ مُحْدَثَاتُهَا. And the most evil of things are things that creep up last minute, sort of cooked in a home kitchen. وَكُلَّ مُحْدَثَةٍ بِدْعَةٍ وَكُلَّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ. Indeed. This is the danger of this. Takes you all the way up. Anyway. The first thing then, you see then this fighting over dunya. That's why in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, hadith of Bukhari Muslim, hadith Jarir, or Abu Bakr narrated it to others. Lakin Jarir narrates this lafz specifically. He says, في حجة الوداع, when the Prophet ﷺ was doing the final pilgrimage, which is the only pilgrimage he ﷺ did, all the people were in Arafah. He tells Jarir says, قال لي النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم استنصت الناس. Oh Jarir, call the people to be silent, I want to say something. استنصت الناس. So Jarir goes and tells the people, Arafat was filled with people at that time. The whole ummah almost was there with the Prophet ﷺ doing Hajj. Everybody is silent. And Nabi ﷺ tells them this, لا ترجعوا بعدي كفارا يضرب بعضكم رقاب بعض. Don't come after me, kuffar, denying of Allah's favor upon you. You fight each other and kill each other. Notice that he calls that fighting is an act of kufr, meaning covering the truth, covering the ni'mah of Allah. لا ترجعوا بعدي كفارا يضرب بعضكم رقاب بعض. How dare you, don't ever try to come after I leave, after I depart. You fight each other. Because how will you fight each other ever? If you forget some part of your pledge to Allah and all you see is the dunya and you fight over the dunya. That's when you will do that. If you don't forget Allah's pledge, how can you be kafir? You're mu'min. You're still on that faith, on that pledge that Allah Ta'ala puts you, that you gave to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minin. Allah took from the believers. That's the first thing which is important, I think, in nowadays context to look at, obviously, and see where we are. The other thing is the love also. And I understand everybody is talking about love and mercy. Well, we understand these things. The point beyond that is to actualize the concept in a meaningful way, not in simple, how do you say, protocol words. Because today, people today are they're used to protocol. Whether mean it or not mean it, these things become something that you ought to say. It's part of sort of the decorum. It's part of the ornaments that you say these things. And if you don't, so there's all kinds of sort of things today that dictate what you should be saying versus what you not should be saying, especially when it comes to love. Al-Quran al-Karim asks us to do a couple of things. Number one, to have unconditional mercy to all people, regardless, and that's a mandate, meaning from being followers of Rasul al-Rahim sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. When Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam tells you al-hadith, al-Rawat Tirmidhi authenticated it. He says, يَرْحَمُ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يَرْحَمُكُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ, right? If the hadith is authentic, that it would mean that have mercy on those on earth. And notice the prophetic narration here, يَرْحَمُ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ, on those on earth. Now it doesn't talk about human beings only, let alone Muslims only. On earth, anything on earth. What if there's plants on earth? Then on earth. What if there are animals on earth? On earth. Have mercy on those on earth. Allah, the Lord of heavens, will have mercy on you. And these things are important. That's on the aspect of mercy. If we take the aspect of mercy to the meaning of love, Al-Quran al-Karim wants us to have that iman come down from the mind to iman of the heart. Not just iman of the mind. What does that mean? And I've mentioned that before. We always negotiate iman issues with the mind. Meaning we understand what Allah tells us, because al-aqlu manat al-taklif. The mind is the basis of taklif, of accountability to Allah. You have no mind, you have no accountability. Done. MashaAllah, you can go do whatever you do, you're okay. If you're insane, you're insane. Allah Ta'ala will exonerate you from the hisab. So then we negotiate what we believe based on our minds. This is what okay, we believe in Allah. We believe that the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. Again, I'm not talking about a postmodern view of individualism, because lots of people think that what matters is me and my own individual perception. Maybe people have priorities of an ummah perception. Maybe of a community perception. Maybe beyond just one person's understanding and perception. Lakin comes and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam here and tells us to sort of try to put ourselves, to move iman from the mind to the heart, meaning to experience faith, not just to articulate it or to actually accept it intellectually and rationally, but to actually experience that faith. Experience La ilaha illallah when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you say, Alhamdulillah. Not a lip of service, or when you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Not lip service, but you actually put in your heart, your mind, and your whole body in a moment of stillness to say, to bear witness, all of you, to the oneness of Allah Rabbul Alameen. That you are Allah. Ya Allah, you are my Lord and I am your slave. Similarly with that repledging to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, obviously to Allah Ta'ala, wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So we can sort of experience this iman now, more than just keep it here in the mind, so we can sort of live by it. Because as if the Quran and the Sunnah tell us, we need that love to make life easier. Because without that sort of mahabbah of Allah and the dhikr of Allah Ta'ala, the remembrance of Allah, then life would be difficult. Look what Allah says, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ. Whoever avoids my dhikr, avoids being in my remembrance. I don't want you to think dhikr means you have a subha and you were saying astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. That may be dhikr, maybe not dhikr. Depends on your niyyah. Lakin the point of that is in the remembrance of Allah. Whoever avoids my remembrance doesn't want to remember me. Maybe he just wants to remember me with his tongue. maybe with his mind, but he doesn't live the faith in his heart as well. There is no that sort of overwhelming faith that comes even if it's a moment. وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِ, Allah says, فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكَ. They shall live a difficult life. Danak, difficulty. You say, well, I see lots of people, mashallah, they, one of them is a king, one of them is a prince, one of them is a big people. Allah says difficult. We believe what Allah says. Because difficulty is not the position, the wealth, health, other things. Difficulty could be many things. Allah Ta'ala knows these various levels of difficulty. Maybe if Allah Ta'ala takes away the tranquility of Iman from your heart, and if He gives you the whole dunya, what difference does it make? Wallahi, if you found Allah, then the whole dunya doesn't matter. And if you have the whole dunya in your hands and you haven't found Allah, then the whole dunya doesn't matter. Well, you will die with the dunya of yours. You will end that whatever you have is just a lease. And it's a short-term lease too that you're entrusted with. And there are conditions for that lease. I mean, you're going to have to answer for all these things that you were entrusted with, including yourself, thoughts, words, and actions. So, as if the Quran is showing us then, live your faith, your life will change. You will find sweetness of finding Allah and walking your day with Him. Sleeping on His remembrance, waking up on His... I'm not telling you be a monk and go to the mountains and not do anything. La akhi, work. Please go work, be productive, help the masjid. Oh, we have $7,000 in the account, so yeah, definitely. And we have bills to pay. Yeah, absolutely. Because people think that it comes from the skies as well. No, nothing comes from the skies. In general, on the asbab that Allah Ta'ala gave you. What does that mean? This is the concept of istikhara. What's the concept of istikhara? I get lots of calls. Shaykh, I did just istikhara to marry this girl. I did not see any green light, yellow light, or red light. What do you think, you're standing in front of a traffic light? I mean, Ajib. What am I supposed to see? Your whole thing is that what? That you do the asbab, the cause and effect, as if there's nothing else but the cause and effect. Once you do that, you rely on Allah Ta'ala as if there's no cause, no effect. The first phase, you master the cause and effect relationship. How do I have to do this? What do? I have to do this. That's the cause and effect. You master that as if there's nothing else. You perfect it, you do the reasons and you do the sabab, perfected. Once you do that and you perfect it, you have now tawakkul on Allah as if all the cause and all the effect doesn't even exist. Nothing exists. Only Allah Ta'ala. That's the tawakkul on Allah. Move. Now you perfected your cause. You did your istikhara. You did your homework. You know what you want to do. Alright, based on what's good for your deen, dunya, etc. Move. Bismillah. You don't need to see a green light, or if you saw a green light, Bismillah, that's a bonus. What if you don't see, don't worry, Bismillah. You've already mastered the cause and effect, but then now you relied on Allah as if there is no cause and there is no effect, because there really isn't. But Allah ordered you to do the sabab. Same thing. Islam does not want you necessarily to be like that. Actually, Islam wants you to actually work and do things. Like in that dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that check, you check yourself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day. That's the whole point of salah. That's the whole point of learning. The ignorance and fools are those who take the micro issues and they start killing each other, like you see today about them. Oh, I say this, you say that. This mental tennis, huh? Well, the mental tennis has no play really. Anyway, as if Al-Quran Kareem puts these avenues for us to sort of experience the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so we can live with Him. And if you find Him and you experience, taste it. And that's why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Hadith Shaykh says, ذَاقَ طَعْمَ الْإِيمَانِ. You will taste. ذَاقَ is from ذوق. ذوق means taste. You will taste the sweetness of Iman if you accept Allah as your Lord. Ajib. But we all accept Allah as our Lord. You accept Allah as your Lord. You're wholesome. Your mind, your body, your soul, everything. يَشْهَدُ أَن لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. You're opening your heart to peace. You're already opening your heart to tranquility, to love, and life will be easy because now you get to know the one who you will be with after you depart. From this temporary, insane, sometimes life, without forgetting what you need to be doing, the good things that you have to do in this world. And that's why the Quran al-Kareem, or Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says in the hadith, Rawah Ahmad and others, وَجَبَتْ لَا مَحَبَّتِي. Yani Allah Ta'ala is telling you, the hadith is Qudsi, and he's Sahih, he's telling you that my mahabba will be granted, my love will be granted, لِلْمُتَحَابِّينَ فِي, for those who love each other for my sake. Ajib. What does Allah benefit from you loving each other? No. But He wants us to feel that care, that ummah concept, not the individual concept, with all the respect to the postmodern era sort of concepts. That there's a bigger goal than you and me. There's a bigger message, there's a bigger objective. That as a Muslim you're living the thought, the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ummati. With the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not just the ummah of ijabah, but the ummah of da'wah, meaning people who were not Muslims, who the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was concerned about as well, because they're part of the ummah of da'wah, not ijabah. Ijabah are the ummah that answered his call. Da'wah is the ummah, because he's the final prophet anyway. Everybody is his ummah in that bigger concept. He is the final prophet that Allah Ta'ala sent, and everyone is his ummah. Those who answered him are the ummah of ijabah. They answered his call. They're his ummah in the special sense. Those who did not are the ummah of da'wah, that he keeps giving da'wah. فَلَعَلَّكَ بَاخِعٌ نَفْسَكَ عَلَى آثَارِهِمْ إِن لَمْ يُؤْمِنُوا بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ أَسَفًا. Allah tells them, you are so concerned about the rest of them who did not answer your call, that they're not believing, that they're not following, that they're not seeing, that they're not being illuminated, that they don't look at this, they don't see these things. This is what the Prophet ﷺ's message was. That's why he tells you, وَجَبَتْ مَحَبَّتِي لِلْمُتَحَابِّينَ فِي. It's not just love of yourself that matters. And that's how we're living today. Everything is me, myself, and I, and everything is I. Today iPhone. Even the phone is I, and the iPad. I don't know if there's a link, but it's I. There is some kind of I always on you, whether it's from the iPhone or the iPad or you eyeing, I don't know. There's a lot of eyes going on. The point is, Habibi, the point is not that. Wallahi, life today, the society, everyone, because remember we forgot the akhirah, we're competing on the limited dunya. And there are so many methods to rob you from the most precious thing you have, to rob that attention from you to everything else. The most precious thing you have after Iman is time. And there are so many diversified ways to rob that time from you, so you don't have, as if you end up having not even a moment of tranquility with dhikrullah. Not a moment of tranquility with dhikrullah. Everything here, this I and this I and this E and this E, everything is E and I. Alright? So sometimes we need to unplug and replug, maybe to recharge. I remember my time, I know some of you are old as well, like me. Not old, no one is old, we're not old. People think we're old, young people think we're old, but we're not old. But you remember when the days when the pagers were, there was no cell phones. I remember them. In the late 80s, we had pagers, and it was a big thing to get a pager, not for anybody. That's it, and you have to go look for a phone and put 25 cents to make a call, and I'll call you later when I get home. I don't, that's it. Life was different. And then remember when they started coming with these Motorola phones, the big ones, you used to do some work on the biceps and triceps with they have big, you do like this. And not everybody, people carried them, see I have a phone, and it was a big thing, because it was a weapon of mass destruction, it looked like. No. But today we don't have, everything is plugged, everything is everywhere, which is good, there is good and bad. And the point is also that this, as Allah Ta'ala says, فَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ فَأَغْرَيْنَا بَيْنَهُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ وَالْبَغْضَاءَ. They forgot part of their pledge. They were so busy in the dunya, they forgot part of what they pledged to Allah. And now they are restricted. All they see is the dunya, and they're fighting over it like crazy. and you become more busy. But what worth is the dunya without the remembrance of Allah Ta'ala and living it? Today we need to cultivate these things. And I don't want to talk about blame game. Huh? Oh, it's not my fault, it's their fault. I can't work because I don't like him. I don't. Huh? Oh, these are all shaitani calls. Because if it's for Allah, there are no excuses. If it's for the dunya, sure, we're going to compete. If it's for Allah, the competition is wide open and no name needs to be given. Who is counting? Allah. Who cares about anybody else? So, these things when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, wajibat mahabbati, Allah says, wajibat mahabbati, my love will be granted for those who love each other for my sake. That's building an ummah. That's the fabric of the ummah. وَالْمُتَزَاوِرِينَ فِي. Al-Hadith continues to say, and my love will be granted to those who visit each other for my sake. Today there's no visiting of each other. I mean, who visits each other anymore? Maybe in Eid. And even then it's limited. Versus Al-Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that His love will be granted for those who visit each other for Allah's sake. Etc. etc. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له يرغما لمن جحد به وكفر. أشهد أن سيدنا محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم الشفيع المشفع في المحشر. صل اللهم عليه وعلى آله أهل الفقه والنظر والعلم والأثر وعلى من بآثاره مقتفى واهتدى واعتبر. عباد الله، اتقوا الله العظيم حق تقواه، راقبوه مراقبة من يعلم ويعتقد بأنه يراه. تزودوا من دنياكم لآخرتكم عملا يحبه ويرضاه. اعلموا أنه لا يضر وينفع ويعطي ويمنع ويصل ويقطع ويخفض ويرفع إلا الله. واعلموا أن الله تعالى أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه وثنى بملائكة قدسه. قال تعالى: ولم يزل قائلا عليما: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم. بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. أعل يا مولانا كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم من أراد بالإسلام والمسلمين خيرا فوفقه إليه، من أراد بهم غير ذلك فاهده يا ربنا سواء السبيل. آت أنفسنا تقواها زكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها. اشف اللهم مرضانا، عاف مبتلانا، فك أسرانا، ارحم موتانا، اغفر اللهم لنا ولمشايخنا ولمن له حق علينا ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا ربنا سميع قريب مجيب للدعوات. يا الله, everyone who came to this house of yours in this blessed hours of yours, in this blessed day of yours, Ya Allah, forgive all their sins, Ya Rabbal Alameen, and all the Muslimin everywhere, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Ya Allah, everyone here, Ya Allah, grant them health if they need health, and solve their problems if they have any problems. Grant them ease in this dunya, ease in the barzakh, ease in the akhirah, Ya Rabbal Alameen. There are people, Ya Allah, who have illnesses and sicknesses and diseases. Ya Allah, turn every disease into ease. Ya Rabbal Alameen, people who have rizq issues, grant them blessings and barakah and their rizq, Ya Allah. Turn the haram into halal for them, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Bless them, bless their children and their families, Ya Allah, and keep them on steadfast on the Quran and the Sunnah of your Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and keep the iman in their homes and their household and their children, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, Ya Rabbal Alameen. Sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Aqim as-salam.